Hello, welcome to my channel, Making Crafts. Today I am working on Roxy's weekly challenge. In this challenge we are using envelopes with windows, and so I'm just using some that came in the mail and came with bills and things, and so I just saved those because they're like brand new envelopes. And so I'm setting my timer here for 45 minutes, and as you see I'm doing a voiceover this time, but I'm actually following even though the video is going to be shorter, I am following the 45 minutes for my challenge. But because my house was so noisy and I still wanted to do this project, I decided to go ahead and film myself doing the project rather than waiting till the house was quiet. And then I can do a voiceover, and then you guys can see what I made in that 45 minutes. So I am sticking with the timer, but you're just not going to see the whole 45 minutes. It is going to be sped up eventually. In this part it's not. I am slowing it down so you can see what I'm doing. So with the envelopes, what I am doing is I'm cutting the tops, the sides, and the bottom. So what you want to do first is you want to have your envelope sealed shut. Then with your sealed side, the side where you seal it shut, you want to cut just a little slither off that edge so it opens it up. And so then you are going to cut the top and bottom on each edge. But what I'm doing here is I'm cutting all mine down to at least 8 inches. Some of them you'll see that I cut shorter for smaller journals or just have a smaller pocket in a journal. But I am cutting mine down because these envelopes were so long that they won't fit in my normal journals. The largest journal I make is the pages are 8 inches tall. So that the envelopes I have here, most of them are more than 8 inches. Now for this envelope, it comes with a reminder flap on the back, and so when I glued it shut, I didn't pay attention to that flap. So I'm just trimming that flap off, and now I'm going to have to re-glue it shut because I just glued the actual flap of the envelope to that flap. So all you have to do is just glue it shut. And so this is kind of letting you see how you go through the whole process anyway, because I glued the rest of them before I started filming. So you just want to glue your envelope shut. And you could, I guess, use the glue that's already on the envelope, but I do not like licking envelopes or wetting them, so I prefer to just glue them shut. And so once you have it glued shut, then you just want to cut down that edge, just a little slither off that edge so that it opens your envelope back up. And I definitely need to put a new blade in. It was having trouble cutting these envelopes. And then you want to cut your top and your bottom. And so this one is one of my shorter envelopes, so I didn't have to cut it down. Now this one's a very long one, so I'm going to cut along the edge, once again, where it was sealed up, so we can open it back up. And then I am going to measure it at 8 inches and cut it down. So I think it may have took like an inch or a half inch off, some of them. So now that means that the top and bottom need to be open. So I have to open up the top, just cut a little slither there. And so now it's ready to go. And so even for this small one here, I want to use it, and then I'm going to also use the cut off and make one with the cut off. Even though it doesn't have a window, I thought it would be neat for that to be a little pocket. So I am cutting it down because I'm going to turn it a different direction in order to be the pocket. I'm going to turn it sideways and collage it and make it a pocket as well. Okay, so you can see now I'm just turning the flaps down. So you just want to fold the flaps over. And then my envelopes are pretty thick, so I found it kind of hard to fold mine at one point, some of them, but I'm going to show you here how it's going to fit over your page. So once we have the envelope glued shut, you'll have flaps like this, because we are going to glue it back shut in just a moment, but you'll have flaps like this that you'll put over your page, and then you'll have this pocket over the page. And then I'm showing you that actually that one would go on that side, and then you could fold it over, or it could be the other way, either way that you wanted it to go. And so I thought this was a really neat idea. Rachel always has the most wonderful ideas, and I've used envelopes in journals before and on flaps, used a flap on a page, but I've never actually done it this way. So I thought this was an excellent idea. So for this one, to decorate the inside of it, I am using vellum. And this is just some vellum left over from the pockets that we made several weeks ago. And so I was just fussing around the little rows. And then to be behind the rows, I'm just using a book page, because when I put the rows in there with the vellum, you could see the print of the envelope, and I didn't like the looks of that. So I'm just going to glue down a book page to the inside, and then I'll glue the vellum on top of that, and then you'll just see the words through the vellum just a little bit slightly. And I thought that looked better than the actual print of the envelope. And so for the vellum, I'm not going to glue in the middle of the piece. I'm just gluing a real thin layer along the edges of the piece so that the glue doesn't show through the window. Because sometimes glue shows through vellum. So I want to make sure that it didn't. And here I'm just moving it around until I have the rows where I want it showing through. And so then I just need to put a little strip, which I'm also making sure here, you can tell that I'm really cleaning off the glue because I got a lot of glue. When I moved around, I got glue in there. And if you leave the glue and you close it up, then your pocket will be glued shut. So be sure that if you have any glue that oozes out, that you clean it off so that your pocket is not glued shut. So here now, I'm just going to add a little strip to the top so that it's smoother for the tag to go down in there. So I'm just adding that in the little gap. And so that one is just a little strip that I found that I thought went with it. You're not really going to see that once it's closed up. So now I'm closing it up, and so I'm just gluing along the edge there, the long edge in the bottom, and making sure I don't glue my flaps shut because I want to keep my flaps where they can glue onto a page later on when I do make my journals. And so you can see there my flaps are still free so that they're not glued shut. And so, like I said, for some reason my envelopes seemed very thick, so I was really having to score and work with them to get the flaps to work. And so now we're just going to collage the front of these envelopes. And for this week, I found some papers that I really love on Creative Fabrica. And I have an account on Creative Fabrica where I pay a monthly fee. But you don't have to do that. You can just get a free account and then just purchase items whenever you want them. And so the papers that I'm using this week, I'm going to link the different sets below because you get 6 to 8 sheets in most of the sets. Now, maybe not all of them, but you get most of them, you get that many sheets. And it was only when I downloaded these, I didn't have to pay it since I do pay the monthly fee, but I did notice that these were 20 cents a set, which is an awesome deal. They were 90% off. So I'm going to link them below. I don't know if it'll still be on sale when you click on it, but just in case you want to check those papers out, I do download a lot of papers from Creative Fabrica. I love a lot of the designers on there. They have some wonderful papers. And I pay a monthly fee because I have a business, and we do download fonts from there and different things for the business. And then I've always used it for my business, but then once I started YouTubing, I found that I really like downloading the papers for my junk journals and my different projects. So if you use my affiliate link, my links below, they are affiliate links, and it won't cost you anything extra, but it does give me a few cents here and there and helps me out when you do use the link, and it does show that I'm sharing it. And so that just helps me a little bit to help support my channel and help a little bit in a way as an artist to offer these free videos, because I don't get any compensation for the videos. I just do this for fun, and so I do like when I can get a few cents here and there to help support the channel. And so here these are the florals that I downloaded, and the floral set was all different blues, but I was in a mood of blue papers. Normally I'm into pinks and creams and your neutral colors, but for some reason yesterday evening I really wanted some navies and some blues, and so you'll see that a lot of my papers have a lot of blues in them that I'm using this week. And so I'm going to link all the kits. One kit was the floral kit, which had the blues, and then the other kit's going to be a towel kit, and it's just the papers look like old towels. And I thought that looked really cool, so you'll see me using those in a few minutes. But the towel set as well was 20 cents a set, and I'm trying to remember, I think that set may have had 6 different sheets in it, and I think I only printed out 3 because there was just 3 that I was really wanting to use yesterday evening. And this is one of the sheets from the towel set, and it's really neat looking. It looks like old towels, and I don't know if you can tell on the camera as much, but in person it looks like just old towels that would be in a bathroom or a kitchen or somewhere. And so I enjoy collaging with the sheets that I print out because I can use the thickness paper that I want to instead of using really thick cardstock. Like when you buy paper packs that I absolutely love, like Tim Holtz and Die Cuts with a View and all those, the paper is so thick that I find it's really hard to collage with. So when I can print digitals like this and collage with them, I find that it's a lot easier because for one thing, it doesn't hurt me as bad to tear them up because I know I can reprint them. And when I buy a paper pack, I don't really want to tear it up. I just want to use it in special projects because I can't reprint those is what I feel like. It's kind of strange in it. But then the other thing is just having the thinness, having it thin enough that I don't like collagen with cardstock most of the time. I like the thinner stuff. And normally when I'm working on Roxy's weekly challenges, I just use scrap papers that I have left over from projects earlier in the week or the week before. And each week I just keep those papers. But this week I do still have a lot of scraps I could use, but I really wanted to use these papers that I found, the florals and the tiles that I found, because I just really wanted to try them out, and so I thought they would look really good in the collage, so I just went ahead and printed a bunch of sheets for this week's projects. And so for the back of these, I want to make them where, like Rachel did, so that it's just a journaling spot. So for this one, I am just using a sheet this sheet was left over from another project. I just printed too many. And so this is just some lined journal paper that I printed out. And so I'm just going to use it on the back of this envelope as a journaling spot. And it has the extra wide lines. I think it's kind of neat looking. And this one may have come from Creative Fabrica. If it did, I will link it below if I can find it. I'm thinking that it did, but I don't remember what set that it came from. I do download quite a few sets since I do have the membership. So for this one, I'm just going to attach it and then trim around it. I find that it's so much easier than measuring and tearing and trying to get it the right length. I just prefer just to glue it down and cut around it when I'm doing something like this. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just making sure that I don't cut my envelope back open at the bottom where I had glued it shut. So I'm just checking it. And then at the top, just trimming it off as well. So that is my first envelope is pretty much done. I just need to add something to the top there. And I'm just going to tear a little piece down to add to the top. And so once again, I'm just going to glue it on and then I will trim it off. So I will just trim it off there. So let me know how you feel about these videos. I know that I normally like to do my 45-minute challenges and do them for 45 actual minutes instead of fast forwarding through it, because I like you to see the process for 45 minutes and what I'm doing and to chit chat with you. But like I said, last night my household was very noisy. Each one of the kids was doing something different, and I really didn't want to make everybody be quiet, but I wanted to work on these. And so instead of waiting till I had some quiet time, a lot of times if I have quiet time, I don't have free time to film. And then if I do, if I have time to craft and film it, a lot of times my house is really noisy. So I decided just to try this, to set my 45-minute timer, stick to the 45 minutes, even though the video is going to be sped up. But that way you guys can see what I made in the 45 minutes and see the project. But let me know if you like the... let me know what you think about this sped up version and the voiceover. And do you prefer the 45 minutes and actually hearing the paper tearing and actually sitting through the whole project and the whole process of me thinking through it and figuring out, what I'm going to do for each one? And if you do, either way, I'm just curious as to which one you like. I may have to do it this way some weeks when, when my house is really noisy and when the kids are, when I do it in the evenings, a lot of times it's easier to do it this way because I can do the voiceover later when it's quiet. But yeah, I may have to do it sometimes like this, but let me know which one you prefer, because I'm not sure which one I prefer yet. I really do like just filming it, crafting, and talking all at the same time and not having to do the voiceover. It is a little bit extra work for me, but at the same time, it's worth it if I get to craft and I don't have to make sure everybody's quiet, because I have three boys and 2 indoor dogs and a cat, and the cat's that's the quietest one of all of them. But a lot of times the dogs are noisy or the children are pretty noisy. And my craft station is set right outside. It's in an area like right out from the main kitchen and dining area. It's blocked off where you can't see it, but I can hear all the noise in the whole house. I'm kind of almost in the center of the house, so I can hear there's a lot of noise that goes on here. And I do like being with my children when I'm crafting, so this enabled me to be with them as well. So for this envelope, this was one that I cut off shorter, and for the inside of it, I've just added a music sheet, and I didn't even tear it down to the exact size. What I did was, instead of having to put the strip across the top, I tore it down and then folded it over the top edge there. And I think that that actually thickens the edge up and strengthens it some, so it's not as flimsy when you're taking things in and out of your envelope. And then I decided to add this butterfly, and I glued it to the actual plastic, not the plastic, but the edges out, beside the plastic, and so it's glued to that side of the envelope. Once I glued it on, I really didn't like it and had like second thoughts about it. I was like, I'm not sure about this, but I left it because once it's glued, it's glued. And I went ahead and finished this envelope, and I think, in the end, I'll show you how I worked around it, because I did not, I just didn't like the looks of it. And I am concerned, though, when I do add a tag that it's going to snag it, but I'm going to see. I'm going to try and see what it actually does once I add my tags in. If it is a problem, then I'll try to figure out. What I'll probably do is reach in and glue another piece up against it so that it is smooth, and fix it. But for now, I leave it like that, and then I just collage the outside of this envelope. And I did cut this one down shorter because, like I said, I probably use it in a smaller journal, or I can still put it in a regular size journal, because I like to have different size pockets in it, larger ones, and this could be just a smaller flip out in the journal. So, in a smaller journaling spot. So I thought it would be neat to try a small one as well. So for this one, I am using some of the blue floral again. And this is just a white background with a very light blue. And it's a very pretty piece of paper, but I don't know that it's showing up on camera as good as it does in person. But I'm just using a little piece of it on this pocket. And so I'm using the dark blue florals, and I really love this piece of paper. I wish it just looks like a piece of fabric. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love all the flowers on it, and I love the navy background on it, and so I just thought it was gorgeous. And this is another piece from the blue floral paper that I linked below, and this one has the yellow and the blues, and I thought it looked so good with all the rest of these, and I really love this paper. I thought it looked like, reminded me of spring or summer, and thankfully it is getting to be spring here, and it's nice and warm out, and so we're able to get outside and enjoy it. And so I am going to be using more spring and summery papers. I seem to use the papers that follow the seasons. And so for the background on this one, for the journaling spot, I'm just using a very thin lined paper, and this paper is just some that I printed out extra for another project that I was doing, and so I'm just trying to use up some of the papers that I've printed by accident or printed too many of. And so I thought this one worked perfect on the back because it's a great piece of journaling paper. And so I think this is a great idea to use these as a journaling spot on the back and decorative on the front, and also to be a pocket. Now for the next one, for the inside, I am going to be using a piece of book page, and this is just some left over from a project before. I did dig into my scraps, and so I'm going to just tear off a flower that I think that will fit really nicely with the window, will fit inside the window, and so I'm just going to attach it so that it shows through. And I was really pleased with this one. I think this one's actually my favorite one that I did complete. I really do like the flower showing through, kind of like a little specimen card or something. I really liked where you could see that little flower, which when at a tag it will be covered up, but when the tag's not in there, you'll have a little flower showing through in case the tag does get removed. And so since the flower wasn't tall enough to go all the way to the top edge, I'm just going to use a book page of music, and I'm cutting it down because this one does not tear as well. It's a thinner paper, it's more fragile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it to the top of the page of the pocket, but I am going to fold it over, and I just feel like that is really strengthening the pocket so that when you put the tag in and out, you it's not so flimsy, and it will work just fine. And so I haven't been adding any book pages to my collages on the front, so that's what I'm going to do with this one. I am going to add a book page, I think, to the front of this one. But as I was looking at this one and I was fixing the edges where you fold back for the flap, when I was doing the flap, I realized that this envelope is really thin. It's very narrow and long, and I was struggling with it to begin with, getting those to fold back, because it seems like this is a very thick envelope as well. But the more I looked at it, I was not as crazy about the shape of it, so I decided to trim it down quite a bit so that if it's narrow and short, it'll look more proportionate. and so that's how I did this one. And so then you will see me when I open up the flap, I'm going to go ahead and glue the pocket shut, once again going down one edge and across the bottom, but I'm making sure that I'm not gluing my flap shut, even though in the video you can't tell, but my flap was folded back, so the flaps are not glued shut since they are going to be attached to the page. And so this one you'll see that I am adding some glue, and that's because this envelope had a little loose bit from when I spliced it open. Some little piece came loose, so I just glued it shut, and that won't be a big deal anyway. That's going to be glued onto the book page, and so you'll never really see that. And so sometimes when you're working with these envelopes, you are going to have times like that you'll have to glue little corners down in little pieces. When you slice into it, it's going to loosen some of the bits up. So once again, I'm using some of this yellow paper with the blue background, and I thought this went really good with this flower. I thought the blue flowers in the background of the paper and the blue flower behind, purplish blue flower behind the window looked really good together. So I'm going to be adding it to this one. And I do like the little pockets. I think they turn out really cute, and I think they'll be really neat in a journal. And so once again, I just made the paper a little bit too big when I glued it on, and then I just trimmed the edge off. I find it easier that way than trying to tear it down to the exact size. So this pocket's going to have lots of florals and be very summery, and I really like the looks of it with all the flowers collaged around it and then the flower behind there. So this is a more spring, summery type pocket. So now I'm going to be adding the little book page on the front of this one. I love adding book pages in my collage. And so for this pocket, I decided that I am going to add a little butterfly to the front. And these butterflies that I'm using came from Pink Monarch Prints on Etsy. And she was having a sale this weekend. And so I picked up a couple of her downloads. I got the one for the butterflies, and then she has fussy cut flowers, and there was a label kit that I got from her. And I've cut most of them out, and I really love them. The butterflies, there are so many butterflies in the kit. She has several pages of butterflies, and they're just different colors. They're the same butterflies on each page. You know, you have a variety on each page, but then you've got more pages of butterflies that are different colors and different tones, and I think so that you have butterflies to go with any color that you're working with. And so I decided to go ahead and add butterflies to each of these envelopes because I thought it added a little something to them. And then the one that I put the butterfly on the inside, that butterfly came from her set as well. But the more I looked at it, I really did not like that butterfly being on the inside. So, but first I realized that I had not put anything on the back of this one, no journaling spots. So I went ahead and decided to use the blue floral, light blue floral background paper because I felt like this would be really pretty on it, and at the same time it's light enough that you can journal on it, and you'll be able to still see your writing when you do journal on it. So I'm just going to add it to the back of this pocket so that you have a good little journaling spot. Okay, so then I'm coming back to this one that I didn't like, and so I've decided that I'm going to add a butterfly over top of the butterfly that's in the pocket. That way it covers it up and you don't see it from the outside, because it just really was bothering me where it was cut off, and I think it was just the wrong size. I should have went with something a little smaller inside that pocket, inside the window, if I was going to do that. So I'm just looking for a butterfly that will cover it up but also look good on the front. And so I do decide to go with a muted yellowish butterfly, and I thought that would look really good with it. It didn't stand out too much, but it also covered up the one behind the window. And so what I'll do is I think then if I need to put some paper in behind that butterfly, if it snags the tag when I put it in and out, then I will do that. But I just decided, just cover it up because I wasn't really happy with it. But I do love how these turned out. After I added my butterflies and finished it, I really love this project. I love the flaps and how they can be attached to pages, and I think that's an excellent idea. And I really love how each of the pockets turned out, and once I did stop filming because my 45 minutes was up at this point. So once I stopped filming, I have already made more, and I've got quite a few envelopes that I went ahead and glued shut. So I plan on making quite a few more of these. Well, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and have a great day. Bye.